Hi, this is Robert Colquhoun, Director of International Campaigns, and today I'm talking about the Battle of Bedford Square. Now, this was an extraordinary evening in March 2012 when Bishop Alan Hopes came to pray outside the abortion centre in central London to the scene of a protest of 500 pro-abortion advocates present there, along with several hundred Christians praying for an end to abortion, an unforgettable moment in the pro-life history of the United Kingdom. Now, we have been organising a pro-life prayer vigil outside of BPAS, the British Pregnancy Advisory Service, in a posh, leafy Georgian architecture square of London called Bedford Square. Since 2011, we had over 3,000 hours of prayer outside of this abortion centre, and this was not without many memorable moments, extraordinary times there. There is a Maltese cross that is carved into the pavement there as a sign of Christ's love. There's a place of Calvary where the babies have been aborted, and that Christ has been close to those who have been in a crisis pregnancy. Had many wonderful and incredible volunteers during this time, including Sister Chinedum, who received considerable verbal harassment, physical abuse as well, being outside that abortion centre for years. We also had the fashionable atheist philosopher A.C. Grayling, who used to take a cortege of acolytes on a little walking tour around London as he passed by with his rimmed spectacles. He is, of course, a member of the National Secular Society and believes that Christianity should be relegated to irrelevance in societies. Well, the abortion centre was owned before it closed by BPAS. So there was once a time when Anne Furedi, who was then the CEO of BPAS, came to our volunteers and said, "Isn't it a bit cruel? You've got these children at the prayer vigil, it's cold, and isn't this an act of cruelty?" To which point one of our volunteers said, "Anne, these children are alive." We had many other circumstances, extraordinary moments at the prayer vigil, over 3,000 hours. We had kamikaze cyclists who used to come along and see whether they could batter our signs or attack the volunteers. We had volunteers have eggs and dung thrown at them at different times. A police horse went by one day and the horse dung was there, and one of the volunteers received a pro-abortion protester threw some horse dung at some of the volunteers at another point. So we received quite a lot of abuse, a lot of heckling. Some men came up, said, "We don't believe in your evil God," and tried to make a mockery of the prayers on different times. Other people tried to take away the signs that we had, and so we received all this challenging and heckling. But this really reached its culmination when Bishop Alan Hopes came as a bishop, agreed to come to the prayer vigil in March 2012, at which point the Guardian newspaper picked up the story and campaigned for its 250,000 readers to come along and protest the prayer vigil, at which point we had 500 pro-abortion protesters come along and protest the bishop being at a prayer vigil outside of an abortion centre. So it was an unforgettable evening of drama, of prayer, of noise, and it culminated with the announcement that BPAS were closing their abortion centre in 2013. This happened properly in 2014. We had the privilege of having a prayer service inside of the abortion centre the day after the abortion provider's lease finished. And the drama between the prayer vigil inside the abortion centre, where we heard the words of Jesus, "This is my body given for you." Jesus gives of his own body that others may live. Abortion advocates cling to their bodies that others may die. So that contrast between the peaceful prayer vigil inside the building after the abortion centre closed versus the evening where the bishop came with a lot of noise and drama and shouting, that the difference couldn't be more. And the fact that that building is now closed is a huge victory, a wonderful achievement for the pro-life movement. So in a secular city like London, prayer works, and this just shows that simply turning up, we can change the society in which we live. What a victory to see an abortion centre close in a city like London, and this has now happened time and time again. So our heart goes out to Martin, who was the most faithful and honest volunteer. He would go to an all-night prayer vigil for life, and in the morning he would come along to Bedford Square to come and pray in continuation from his all-night prayer vigil. During the evening with Bishop Hopes, another woman said, "The rights which my mother fought for are being undermined." We didn't have the heart to tell her that if her mother exercised those rights, she wouldn't exist. But many of the thinking through hadn't really happened with some of the abortion advocates at that time, hence the hysterical response. But what a dramatic evening. It was one never to be forgotten. Maybe the abortion facility where you live might be able to close one day, that you will see a similar result to prayer if you go out and pray for an end to abortion right where you live.